Wakey, wakey, hello, good morning, and many thanks indeed for joining us here on Morning Prime. My name is Dibala Nair. Trust that you're easy, and of course you've slept well. You've woken up on this 6th day of October, Friday 2023, and we have Wongozi today coming your way. A lot that we have to discuss today, just looking at how the week has been as we get ushered into the weekend, and how also next week will be as far as the political scenario is concerned. So there is a lot that we have to cover regarding the national dialogue, also the sale of Telecom Kenya to Emirati firm, and questions around it as well that is hogging the headlines this morning. And we'll be holding court today with Kipruto Rapkirwa, who is a governance and policy analyst. Also, we're joined by Herman Manyora, who is a policy and governance analyst as well. We're joined by Professor Fred Ogola, who is an economist. We'll be joined also by Dr. Martin Olo, who is an advocate of the High Court and head of course, department, that is the Department of Law, that is at Daystar University. You get to drive a show with me as well, just to latch on to our Twitter handle, which is at KTN News, right? Nowadays they call it X. Also at Dibala Nair, that's my X handle as well. So you can chime in, throw in your questions or share your contributions there as far as the show is concerned. But for now, let's see how the weather will be. it on. That's how the weather will be today. And of course, I shall be showing you what is on the front page of the dailies much later as we continue first with the program, just to, of course, give you an inkling of what is headlining the front pages of the dailies today. Hard questions in Telkom Kenya Cell is what is on the front page of the Standard this morning. Intrigues, you've been knowing about the Emirati, where Treasury says Juguna Ndung'u's announcement that a strategic partner has been found to take over Telkom Kenya as majority shareholder has opened a Pandora's box on how government conducted the business. You have a story on page 8 of the Standard this morning. That's the headline. I will show you much later. End of the honeymoon. A probing question there on the front page of the Daily Nation. Warning shot. President William Ruto's surprise move to demote some of his loyalists in Wednesday's night cabinet reshuffle has been seen as a signal that no one is indispensable in his administration. And the head of statesmen yesterday said their boss will not hesitate to sack those who fail to deliver on his government's promises. We shall also be looking at that today. What does this portend with the new reshuffle? That is tucked away on page 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation. We have why Ruto's reshuffle is a warning shot to CSs, still on the reshuffle. And we have Oleo Shuka Bay as also the splash on the front page of Taifa Leo. And also, Courier era imports taxes drug manufacturing to 6-year low. That is another story you want to follow on the front page of the Business Daily. Tanzania food surplus at 4 million tons, but threats loom. That is happening in Tanzania. I will be showing you that as well much later in the course of the program. Bobby walks in messages. Shoes. He was arrested yesterday upon his return from South Africa and landing at Entebbe Airport. The police pounded on him, and we shall give you also that particular splash much later in the course of the program. But my guests are already here up and early, and we just want to hear introductory remarks from them as they peruse through the dailies as well. We have Kipruto Arap-Kirwa with us, who's a governance and policy analyst. We have Herman Manyora. We have also Professor Fred Ogola as well, who is an economist. And we'll be joined, as I said much earlier, by Dr. Isaac Kalua Green and also Dr. Martin Olo. But you may just hear from the land of Trans Nzoia. If maize harvesting is a plenty so far, the prices we've seen that there's good indication the prices also might be friendly for the farmers. And one farmer that I know, a consummate one, is Kipruto Arap-Kirwa. Good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
Good to see you. Let's just begin with you and tell us on the state of farming.
Yeah.
Because you're from that hood of where, of course, it's a food basket for this country.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Kenyans in Trans Nzoia are happy. There is good harvest, but not as bumper as the government was predicting. Mm-hmm. But the prices are a bit low. You would have expected perhaps the government that came in on the guaranteed minimum returns to have announced the price much earlier. Up to now, they have not announced, and perhaps it would have been useful because a bag of maize is retailing between 3,700 to 4,000, depending on who is buying and who is offloading to the market. Coupled with the fact that El Nino perhaps is here with us, many farmers are likely to lose their crop because of post-harvest challenges, including rotting in the farm and also in the stores. Many farmers don't have good facilities for purposes of storage, and I would have expected the administration of the day to ensure that they improve in terms of timely buying, drying, and storage. Mm-hmm. That would assist the farmers to mitigate some of the losses that they are likely to face should the El Nino persist for the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Good. And in terms of a political scenario, I think you have a lot to share. We shall hear from you as well much later in the course of the program.
Yeah, that will be useful.
That will be useful.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Herman Manyora. We have the National Dialogue Committee that was there, and there was a public participation. I was hoping to see you there. Yeah, because I came across some proposal that you had, and I thought maybe you will have presented that to the National Dialogue Committee.
Yeah, I booked to appear, but I waited. I wasn't called. When I made inquiries, I thought, oh, sorry, we just closed. But then I gave my memorandum. I hope they look at it.
You gave your memorandum?
Yeah, my memorandum.
Okay.
Yes, I gave my memorandum with some suggestions that haven't had anybody else give. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so about the power in this country.
The power in the country.
I said the problem we have is cutting around the problem. You see, it's about power. When people look for presidency or governorship, whatever they are looking for, there are two components of that power. First of all, the power to make a change, to make a contribution. If you are a political party, you put in a president with a manifesto to implement an agenda for change or for improvement or for transformation. That's one aspect of power. You look for power for the legacy aspect of it. But there is also power that brings glory, the glory aspect of it. So we keep lost with this, within these two. And my suggestion is, let's bite the bullet. Let's accept that the presidents of this country from Jomo Kenyatta have never had time for government. They have never run government. They have spent all their time on the functions of state. So I'm saying, let's separate these two and give one man the power to enjoy the glory. You see, the glory of being president. An imperial president, actually more powerful. Because when you go for this office, you're also looking for glory. If you want to be the president of America, you want to be in that Air Force One. You see the glory of Air Force One?
Yeah.
When it's landing with those ugly-looking helicopters. Do you see it? With the beast down there waiting for you.
Yes.
And remember, wherever Air Force One lands, that is American territory. We saw it in America, in Kenya here, when Obama landed. Even the senior police officers cannot be allowed near. You know, that kind of power and glory. So let's give one man or one woman that power and the glory. You get it? But let's also give another man or woman the power to run government, and the president has nothing to do with him or her, and the president cannot dismiss him or her. So the president is just a nominal head of the country in terms of power dynamics, just like the King of England today. He does not interfere with the running of government. You get it? But he has all the glory of being king. So let's give one man in this country that glory, but give another man or woman the power to run government. If we don't make that distinction, I have been asking people, I wish I went to make the presentation. When is the last time you had a president who was in Harambee House working for Kenyans? When is the last time? You know, when the president is there, you would know, because there's always the presidential standard on the roof. How many times have you seen that presidential standard? The president is busy receiving people dancing for him.
But he's elected maybe to actually work from the State House.
Pardon?
Yeah, he's elected to work from the State
House. You can't work because that's where all these things take place. People coming to pay homage, loyalty, and so on and so forth. That's State House is a place where functions of state take place, not functions of government. And when the president is moving around the country, including all the villages and launching projects and everything, that's the power of being president. So let's give it to him, but let's look for another person to run government. Yeah.
Right. Let's hear from Professor Ogola as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have an opportunity to be before the NDC, and you also made an application or an appointment to be there?
I made an application, I submitted my memorandum, but just like everything that happens in this country, there's no criteria for anything. There was no criteria to choose which memorandum was supposed to be accepted, the finance bill. There's no criteria for the appointment of the cabinet, and also reshuffle. There's no criteria for who presents and who does not. So I think that's what we are lacking in this angle, and I think that there's a high time that we have institutions that can be predictable, institutions that actually are credible enough, because I could see what is now taking place is the arguments between Kalonzo and Hassan. You'll never be president, you'll never be governor. I mean, those are not the things that should be taken Bomas. And I still agree that the setup for Bomas is not national dialogue. It is a bipartisan talk between two parties. It will just end as such. And if Kenyans will get anything from Bomas, wait and see, because I believe they won't. Of course, any political activity taking place, the citizen normally can get breadcrumbs. So there are some breadcrumbs that might fall from the table of the masters, but for now, it's all that Azimio wants and what Kenya Kwanza wants. There is lack of direction and vision in this country. That's what we need.
All right, that's what we need. Let's hear from Dr. Matidolo.
About the bonus.
You know, this is now the tragedy of coming in late.
Yeah, but you see,
now I need to.
I was listening to Herman Manyola, and I wondered whether I belong to the same country with him. He said that glory, the people are looking for glory. Glory belongs to God. If you're looking for glory, it belongs to God. So please, let's not try and bring some little gods here. And that's why we go wrong. Number two, we have been there before. We have been with imperial presidents. And we said, never again. So if you are becoming nostalgic and you want to take us back to that era of Kenyatta 1, the era of Moi, because there was Moi 1, Moi 2, that era is gone, and we are not interested in that. We have said that the Kenyans are the sovereign. They are the people, they are the ones who give power. So you can't tell us that we want to invest that power in one man. So that kind of country you are looking for maybe belongs to Haiti or somewhere else, where, you know, gangs just rule and anything just goes. No, we have decided what we want to do for this country. And I'm so happy that you never got an opportunity to present your verbally. Of course, then I would have been very disappointed. But now that you have presented it here, I must tell you that that's not what Kenyans are looking for. From a constitutional law perspective, we really are looking for accountability, are looking for rule of law. Those things don't happen because of men and women in power. They happen because we have key pillars, we have key foundations, and those foundations, we cherish them and we value them. And that's what we really want. We want a constitutional democracy, not an imperial, not a queen here, a king there, and some people working there. He's saying that we have not seen the president in the State House, or rather in Harambe House. That's not how you want to judge somebody's work. It's like saying that we have not seen a member of parliament inside parliament. Because then you also don't understand how parliament works. Parliament works not inside, but actually what happens is more about the committees, yes, more about representation, more about research, more about generation of bills and so on. So let us agree that the likes of Herman here, we want to put you in our past. Where we want to go forward is to say that we build our constitutional democracy. Is it going to come out of the dialogue in Bomas? No. Dialogue in Bomas is about men and women jostling and finding relevance. They're actually finding a window to go and tinker with the Constitution. We are waiting, as lawyers out here, we're waiting to see what that product will be, because then we'll end up in court, especially if a few things are done in violation of the Constitution.
Right. We shall look at that much later. Let's hear from Dr. Isaac. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. I have missed you, Debal. You've been well?
Yeah, I've been well.
And how is your family?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Yes.
Super. So we are excited. I'm excited to meet my team members here. And
no.
Yes.
The guy is preparing for bigger things.
How did you know?
Bigger things.
Thank you very much. It's El Nino is here. Actually, I'm glad that we are all getting ready to go and work for the country. Feed your few people that God has given to you. And if the other person does the same, then we have fed the nation. El Nino is here. We are working on many things that we should be aware of, and everyone must take personal responsibility. And that's the message today for me as I even prepare to go start digging holes. This is the time to look out for the trees that you're going to plant. This is the time to identify the seed. This is the time to prepare the soils. This is the time to ensure every water is taken care of, because as a nation we are headed in a situation that we must be very careful. But back to the subject, is very clear that what is going on in Bomas, the views that have been given are very interesting, must be honored. I also pick it up that there are always, and I'm reminded that there are always 2 times that one should never do anything. When you're extremely happy, never do much, and particularly in public. And when you are very unhappy, then just keep things to yourself, because some of the altercations that were happening at Bomas were really unnecessary, and they bring out a bad side of a leader, which we all have, only that we need to keep it away from public, so that we can continue to have the confidence that the Mwananchi has for us. And therefore we look forward to progress. I am not sure how much progress will be made with the issue being taken to court, but talking, we must keep talking. Views that have been given, very valid, and I believe we need to talk as a nation to ensure that we can be able to engage towards the best direction. Things started beating us far away. They didn't just happening. The rain started beating us from very far, Debala. And it will not happen within a very short time that we are going to mend the challenges that we have as a nation. It will take a generation. It will take people being very serious to take on the challenges that we have. And I believe we've started the journey.
Well, and I wanted just to pose a challenge, because you have always been gagging for tree planting and seedlings as well, plant your age. Amongst us, we've never come up with that particular challenge that all of us should all come with the seedlings one of the Fridays, so that we go on a plant.
Especially Herman here.
That's a very good thing.
Last time he planted a tree was when he was in primary school.
And not only that,
because
I grew up in a station.
Like
I love trees.
When we look at the headlines, like what you can see on the screen, the Citizen in Tanzania, that there is a food surplus. It's 4 million tons, but they'll tell you, of course, the threat is looming, especially with the plight of the climate change. We've never had such a confidence also from our public that we wake up one morning and we're saying we can see a splash. There is a 10 million tons of food surplus in the country, right? So don't worry.
You see,
and especially the Minister of Agriculture, the former Minister of Agriculture, should tell us on that particular note. In such depressing times, when you have such splashes, like we see in the Citizen, it encourages the citizen.
Yeah. Debal, now that you're talking about that, some of these things is just about initiative. Your institution has been very active. We have grown trees together. We have done things with Kiboko Club. We have impacted the community on matters of environment in a big way. Do you know you need to stretch your idea to reality, because most of us are still operating on aspirations, and we are not putting ourselves up to operations. If today you woke up in the morning 6 a.m. and told your director that you want to hold your panel discussion in a specific place where we will start by planting trees or end with planting trees, you have a broadcast outside the broadcast house. We would have some tree growing session with each one of us, even if we are going to plant just 5 trees as we are here, and the 6th one yourself, and you plant one for your boss. That initiative is what we need to have. Because I recently demonstrated that through the Plant Your Age campaign, through which the president, when he started 15-something billion trees, he planted trees equivalent to his age, 56 trees. Imagine if everyone did that, if the corporates, like your institution does that. I demonstrated that you can plant 18.8 billion trees within 7 years. 1 year, 1.08. The difference is just not growing, not planting, but growing. So take the initiative and take us to the field, because I'll be doing that. I'm now doing the holes for which I'm going to plant trees, targeting for at least 10,000 trees this season. And I want to do much more, and I'm calling for Kenyans to continue in the same. Right, so let's take action.
Right. When is the last time you saw such a headline that we have food surplus in the country?
Well, possibly, it might have been erased in my memory, but I remember twice during my tenure, we had enough food for Kenyans and even some for export. Of course, during the same period, we also did some importation. But for the case of Tanzania, they have gone slightly ahead. What they have done is to deal with the farmers in Zambia, and they get some of the food across the border. So cross-border trade between Tanzania and Zambia is very huge. For us here in Kenya, we've been enjoying cross-border business with Uganda, southern Ethiopia, and to a limited extent Tanzania. But Tanzania this time has been very mean on us. They have not allowed us to do that kind of business. And yet, the administration here has been talking of bamba harvest. I don't see it. In Trans Nzoia, the average per acre is between 18 and 22. We should actually have been 25 and 30. So elsewhere, Nakuru does not have a very good crop because they also do some little farming there. The rest of the country does not have very good crop. Watch this space. By March next year, we'll be importing maize.
March next year?
Yeah, March next year. It's something that God will keep us alive, and we'll be in this studio. And one of the headlines is that there is the issue of maize importation. There is not enough maize in Kenya. The bamba harvest that the administration was talking about is just fertile imagination.
It's fertile imagination, but the president also was very optimistic that we have, not really optimistic, he was very confident that we are realizing enough bumper harvest that our country also is ready to export.
Well,
so we're not exporting.
I know, you know, the president has made so many promises, and I like him. He has very positive attitude about everything, even something that does not exist. Well, I was in that ministry slightly much longer than him, and I know I don't need to be given figures by the officers. I travel throughout this country, and I know there is not enough food, especially maize. Trans Nzoia was an issue where he comes from, and where I also come from. Trans Nzoia, there's not enough, and yet there are not mitigating measures that will assist to reduce post-harvest challenges.
So what is informing the paring down of the prices from 6,000 to around 4,000 as it is right now?
Yes, 38 to 4,000. It is because the government has not announced what is supposed to be guiding price. And yet, as I said earlier, they said they will be giving guaranteed minimum returns. And that means you announce even at the time of planting that as you plant your maize, the price that the lowest shall be 4,000 or 5,000. Practically in Trans Nzoia, it should have been about between 4,500 to 5,000. Once they announce that, even the market will now balance out. But by keeping quiet, they're actually allowing farmers to be subjected to the vagaries of middlemen who are buying now at 37, 38. If you are lucky, like in my village, about 4,200. But if they were to announce it's 5,000, the middlemen will be oscillating about 4,800 to 5,200. So that should be the way any responsible administration should be doing.
Right, and every farmer was waiting for this week for...
You know, Kiro is also a maize cartel.
What do you
He doesn't even know the price of maize on the ground.
Well,
this is the tragedy of this country.
No, you know.
We should know.
I will not take that.
The people, please, you are not a cartel.
You just give me instructions and deal with him after this.
You see in the bar, the price of maize is far below what Kiro is saying.
Kiro. Yeah. I'm talking of Trans Nzoia.
Actually, I know. Also, I know this country. Actually, people talk to me a lot. The price of maize in this country is about 3,000 shillings today, on average, which is really sad. And this is what has killed. There are many reasons why farming is not doing well in this country. But top on the list is that when there is good crop harvest, market becomes a big problem. Now, I mentioned the word with a light touch, cartel. What I meant was, right now government pretends it doesn't know that there is a maize being harvested. So it looks the other side. Then the cartels invade the farmers. They get the crop as middlemen, at throwaway prices. Then government wakes up as if now they know there is maize. Then they come in and set the prices Kiro is talking about. This happens practically almost every year. And that means a man or woman who put 20 acres under maize cultivation is so discouraged that the following year they can barely do 15 or even 10. You get it? And that is what ails farming in this country. That government creates an environment through which farmers are exploited by middlemen. You get it? But just give me 1 second to rewind to Martin Olo. Martin Olo pretends that every country is like Australia, New Zealand, Sweden, Norway, where running government is just like a school prefect. It's a very small thing that doesn't have that glory. But the rest of the world, people seek office for the glory that comes with that office. That's mistake number one Martin Olo is making. Second mistake Martin Olo is making is about the sort of stories I hear about parliament. That an MP can be in parliament, and Kiru has been there. I think he's the only guy who has been in parliament here. That you can be in parliament and never speak one day, never even be seen there. And you are excused because you are development conscious. You do development on the ground, representation, because work is done in a committee. This country is in a mess because parliament doesn't do its work. The first task of an MP is to be in parliament, because the constitution gives parliament a lot of power. In fact, parliament is more powerful than the executive, than the judiciary, because they can make the laws that can move this country forward or stagnate this country or even take this country backward. That includes even taxation. So an MP who does not participate, now we are talking about farmers suffering. These matters must be articulated on the floor of the House. In fact, you can move Parliament to stop discussing anything else and discuss the tragedy that is facing maize farmers today in the North Rift and other parts of this country. You can't do that if you are mentoring the village, issuing CDF checks. Thank you.
You see, I am now realized that Manera belongs to the past. The kind of parliament he's talking about is the Westminster Parliament. The kind of parliament that we had during the days of Martin Shikuko and so on. In fact, he has made such a big mistake to say that parliament is it's greater than the executive and the judiciary. That belonged to some other phantom constitution long before. The kind of situation where parliament is supreme belongs to the kind of Westminster democracy that you're talking about. Not this democracy we're talking about. Not the kind of democracy that we have given ourselves in our constitution. The supremacy is with the people. And that's why we've said as much. Sovereignty is with the people. So the days when parliament is supreme, those belong to the past. And I think I need to take Herman back to my constitutional law class. Yeah, because he needs now to be current.
Let's say for Professor Ogola.
No, you teach me history. We're learning situation of law and constitutionalism and government. I don't want to teach. Because his understanding of these things is really developed. He doesn't understand the structure and the thing about our constitution that gives power to the people through their representatives. The people are supreme.
Yes, so if
the people are supreme.
Yes.
And because they cannot all go to parliament, they delegate that power to the member of parliament. And that's where the power resides. The power resides with the people. And not, because not all of us can be in parliament. Your MP must be in parliament to speak for you. Not meandering around issuing CDF checks, which is what he thinks.
Yeah, from that particular angle, I think it really makes a lick of sense that, the MPs, they're like the sovereign, because they're representative of the people.
They're not. And
as the Constitution said that,
if I left this studio, and my students are watching me, constitutional law students are watching me.
Without defending that particular misconception.
A travesty. The point is this: when you delegate, a delegate can never be more powerful than one who delegates to them. So please, let's get this concept right. I hear where Haman is coming from, but it is in the past.
But this is
the constitution of Kenya that we reformed long time ago. That's why when he came here, his ideas are that let's go back to where we left. No, we didn't like it. That's why we left it.
Let's hear from Professor Ogola.
Yeah, you see, for me, the discussion ongoing, if I just weigh in whether it is the people who are powerful or not, I think that in your dreams, the sovereign power belongs to the people. And maybe just to be practical here, Raila Odinga started collecting signatures saying that the people have the power that can remove the president from State House, and we know the results. Since independence and since I was born, I've never seen a time when the people recall their MP. Kirwa in Parliament, tell me when the people ever succeeded to recall any leader they elected, which means that
75% of leaders get ejected every parliament, every election.
No. I'm saying if you have been elected and you're delivering, no one has ever been recalled. This is the history of Kenya. If there is, just mention one. Because as an economist, in God we trust, the rest we live in data. We don't just say we wish. Wishes are there, but we really want to see what works practically. Because without pragmatism, we are being told that the great people also have to be very cognizant of the objective reality, because in reality, the MPs are the one who legislate even how they should be recalled. How they make it impossible to recall, they use Parliament. So I'm trying to say that it's practically not possible at the moment. You see, like, for example, Ugenya, where I come from, the people of Kenya believe that members of Parliament of Kenya is not representing them because they went to Kenya Kwanza, yet he was elected as Azimio. They went to the street, they went to try to burn his house, and they discovered there's nothing can do. This week is actually hosting the president. There's nothing they can do. They just can't do anything. Just wait. So waiting to be sorted again after 5 years means you have no power. If you have power, if I'm a chairman of a board and the CEO whom I appoint is not doing work, I'll fire him immediately. That's what power is. Power is not about to be desperate that you can again collect 1 million signatures. If I have powers over you, why do I collect 1 million signatures if I have powers? Anyway, story for another day.
Please.
I think you lawyers need to legislate how to exercise that power. It's one way to say I have power, but legislation on how to get power is right. And I've been faulting Raila Odinga for this, because when these things are saying that the people have the sovereign power and can remove someone in office, he never went to use, when he had a lot of MPs in Parliament during Kibaki, to legislate actually how to do it. Because even if you collect those 10 million signatures he's collecting, where do you take them? There's even nowhere to take them. The Constitution is clear even where to take them. So this power we are talking about, I think I want to go to another point, because for me that is...
Before you go to that point, we are talking about a popular initiative. Now, a popular initiative is a constitutional mechanism that you can use as a people to take an action. The opposite of it is the parliamentary initiative, in terms of how you can make changes in Kenya. And that is not a unique Kenyan concept. It's a borrowed concept. It's a borrowed concept from Switzerland, it's a borrowed concept from Germany, and to an extent the US. There is constitutional law as it is, there is the practice as it is, and there's the politics. What you're discussing is politics. When you say there is a recall clause, it means there is a power, there is a mechanism that can allow a recall. So how that is exercised is also a matter of law, and it's there. Whether it's easy or difficult is a question again of what you think about
Not
that
even
law.
easy, impossible. How comes it has never happened? Do you have to tell me everyone who has been elected for 5 years have been good enough to continue for 5 years? I don't think that's making sense. Anyway, to another point for me, and this is my main point in the whole discussion we're discussing about food and the rest.
Yes, indeed.
Debal, I have been a student of strategy for long, and actually I'm a professor of strategy now. I have discovered there is nothing that can substitute vision. And that's what is happening in this country, vision. I like Kalawa's vision. Plant the trees your age, clear vision. And in fact, if you look at the powerfulness of a vision, it must be something measurable, isn't it? Mm-hmm. In fact, now, Kalawa would ask that, state the timeline. You plant the trees of your age by what year? Because someone can wait, because if you don't do it this year, next year you're adding another year. So you need to plant another tree. So say that every year everyone should be compliant. So now that I don't want to say my age here, now that I'm X age, I should be compliant with my age. In fact, if you even say that before you go to church, you should show us whether the trees you planted is worth your age before you go for food, before you go to eat. I'm sure timeline is important, that everyone must comply by this which years. For example, the senior was here. I don't know whether it is Manyora. You should not come to studio here next time if you have not complied to plant the trees by your age. The value should check.
That I agree. You should plant trees.
So it should be. So clear vision. Why am I saying this? Get my point. When Kibaki came and said free primary education, and I'm a student of Kibaki in economics, and I sat with him, and I tried to ask him, where did he come from this? And Kibaki told me, when I was a young boy, very young boy, I had brothers and sisters. When Wazungu started constructing a church in our village, and in this village, he said that when he was seeing people putting concrete with the cement and building a church, it was something so admirable for him that he was not even grazing his father's goats. He was just watching this miracle. Then eventually, they built a primary school nearby. And he could not do anything, was just watching that thing. And his father told him, my son, you must be lost. You won't inherit my goods. You go to school and start studying with those people that are Wazungu who have lost you. And Kibaki said that is how he became a world-class economist. That education opened his eyes in a way that you cannot understand. Now he says that when he became president, he saw that if education opened his world that much, he should open education eyes for each and every child in this country. And I could be in a place whereby I saw so many big technocrats present to him infrastructure, how we can build big roads and make money. He said, but where is my education plan? It was so clear. The vision was so clear. And according to me, look at what the vision did. And Kibaki told me, he said, when I say that I will give you free primary education, if you used to pay school fees for 10,000 shillings, where do you take that money? It becomes like a subsidy. Because now, you'll take then 10,000 shillings and spend on something else. So there'll be flow of money. People can invest in businesses. Such a vision, we have never seen it for a long time in this country. So even the issue of being in Bombas or Kenya, there's no vision there. Because where we are going, only God knows there. Look at the issue, you talk about bumper harvest. Has someone had the clarity Kibaki had about how can we have food, let's say, sustainability in this country? Has, for example, Kira, if you would be the head of state now, I'm sure you'd come with that clarity that how can we have bumper harvest? Because you are predicting that we are already hungry before we get hungry. You're saying by March next year, we shall have to import food. That is vision. And you can tell that if there are some things we have not done now that will make us be having food scarcity. So according to me, I believe that world-class wealth begins with the world-class thinking. And that I have also decided, my brothers here, and I can tell you, and you're trying to ask me, the president said this and this. For me, I've stopped judging the president of Kenya plus all his cabinet on logic. Because there's no logic on logic. They are completely logical in whatever they're trying to do. Because the vision of the president was to become president. And I think that's why it has ended. Whether he's working in State House, whether bringing to Arambe Avenue, he will still just be welcoming people in Arambe Avenue. You can welcome them anywhere. If your main goal is politics, you will welcome people anywhere. If you are an executor on anything to talk about the issue of reforms, it works. Raila Odinga has not done much in terms of becoming president, but Raila had a vision of reforms. He's been very, very instrumental on that. Whether he can turn around the economy, story for another day. But the person who had the vision for economy was Kibaki, and he knew it very well. And I can say that even for us as we sit here, and I think we can still refer to the words of J.F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for it. So the vision about trees, the vision about agriculture,
thank you.
The selfless leadership that brings that needs vision. And without vision, there's only confusion. No matter what you have, you can have resources, but you're confused with your resources. You can have intellectual people, but you can confuse the whole mass with the lack of vision. So there's nothing that can substitute vision, and that's why Kenya Kwanza should just leave and go home.
All right. We want to just center our focus as well on what is happening and has been a story of the week as well, where we have reactions now, and the Azimio La Umoja coalition has opposed the government's decision to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti. Azimio termed the decision as misguided, explaining that Kenya has internal security challenges that need to be addressed urgently. The opposition want Interior CS Kithure Kindiki to rationalize the decision. Human rights lobby groups from Kenya and Haiti, led by Haki Africa, have expressed concerns about the legal process of deployment and Kenya Police's human rights track record. Fred Kagonya has more.
The Azimio La Umoja coalition has said that it opposes the move to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti to help the government combat violent gangs that have taken over parts of the country, with the coalition leader Raila Odinga falling short of asking members allied to the coalition to reject the motion once tabled in Parliament.
When I was the Prime Minister and we took a decision, the cabinet, to send our forces to Somalia, I took a motion to Parliament. And it was approved, debated and approved by Parliament. Now this is a similar case. We are sending out our troops or forces outside our borders. It must be approved by Parliament.
We are concerned over the increase in terrorist activities in parts of the coast, particularly Lamu, in northeastern. Just about 2 weeks ago, several KDF soldiers aboard a Kenya Air Force chopper died in a crash within the terror-prone Boni Forest in Lamu.
Speaking at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation, the coalition said that Kenya already has too much on the plate in terms of security challenges, such as clashes in Sondu along the Kisumu-Kericho border, terror attacks in the northeastern and coastal regions, as well as banditry cases in the larger Rift region.
The insecurity in the country is a matter of great national concern to everybody. We cannot just sit and watch as innocent Kenyans are being butchered in their homes.
We cannot send 1,000 of our young men and women in uniform in harm's way over 12,000 kilometers away without the people of Kenya, through their elected representatives in Parliament, having a say as to whether this is in our national strategic security interest or it's motivated by other interests.
They now want Parliament to summon Interior CS Kithure Kindiki to explain the decision to send the officers. Yet Kenya is underpoliced while calling on President William Ruto to stabilize the country.
We call on Parliament to demand oversight on this matter with a view of protecting the young men and women in uniform who are about to be taken to Haiti for a war that is not ours, and at a time when we need them back home.
Human rights lobby groups led by Haki Africa have also expressed concern over the looming deployment, arguing that the human rights violations record does not warrant their deployment. The CIPO groups want the US to instead direct their 14 billion shilling funding to Haitians to help them get on their feet.
There's a lot to be learned, there's a lot to be known before we can establish a true led mission that would not be another disaster like the 2004 United MINUSTA mission and so many other missions that has gone to Haiti.
We don't want to send our boys there and they return back in body bags. We must be very careful. We know that there are resources being dangled.
On Monday, the UN Security Council authorized the deployment of security support teams in Haiti. Kenyan police officers will be joined by those from Jamaica, Belize, Senegal, Spain, Suriname, and the Bahamas.
All right, and that has been the question. As you can see, what has been drawn by Victor today in the Daily Nation. Why are we going to Haiti? And they're pointing fingers at the billowing smoke there from Sondu. Lamu still is a niggling worry for us as well. Have we been able to tame this particular menace that we do have of insecurity in these areas as well? And we know, as we've just heard from Fred Kagonye, that on Monday we had the United Nations Security Council giving an approval for the multinational force where Kenya is taking a lead there. And of course, we've seen also pictures of the police maybe doing a renaissance or on the ground, what they call recce, to just scope out the area as it is right now. But what does it really portend for the country? We have different variegated reactions on this as well. We want to put it to perspective. It has been also taking center stage as far as centrality of issues is concerned in the country right now. But we go full steam ahead to Haiti, despite the fact that the questions being raised also from a civil society with a human track record. We take a short break right now. When we circle back, we shall continue with that as well. Look at the cabinet reshuffle. What does it portend? And we have a new man at the helm of the NHIF. And we shall give you all the details regarding this as well. Don't go away. You're watching Uongozi Today here on Morning Prime.